I'm down in Southampton and I'm going to have a look round Fred Olsen's Boudicca. Always the hub of the ship. This is the reception desk on board, and as usual with Fred's, I think one thing consistently you get across all the Fred ships is friendly, excellent service from the staff on board. If you're not a frequent traveller on Fred Olsen, you might not have seen this concept, which is their speciality coffee area. This is the bookmark cafe on board, attached to the library area, and a lovely comfortable lounge. And at the same time you can enjoy, as you can see below me, some of these gorgeous chocolates whilst you're on board your cruise. Well, we're right on top of the ship now in the gymnasium area, the fitness centre, for those people that want a bit of a health kick while they're on board trying to work off a few pounds. I've got to say, the gym here is probably one of the best I've seen on one of the smaller ships. Some nice new kit and plenty of space and a nice big area. Okay, well, we're in the all-important entertainment area on board the ship. This is the Neptune Lounge. A few things to point out for me. It's bigger than I was expecting on this ship. Those that have maybe cruised on Balmoral will find that actually this isn't dissimilar in size. The only thing I would say is it's actually pretty much level seating. It's not staged and tiered up, so you might want to get an early seat if you want to secure, if you like, right at the front stage side. I'm in the Lido Lounge here on board the ship. This is an area predominantly used in the evening on board for a bit of late night dancing and a late night drink. But actually during the day as well, it's an area that connects nicely to a little terraced area that overlooks the swimming pool right at the back of the ship on board here. But actually it probably comes to life in the evening, late on, cocktails at the bar and a little relax in one of the comfortable chairs. It's hard to imagine on a day like it is today, a really miserable April day down in Southampton here, what this ship would be like during a lovely sunny cruise. But actually what you have got here is a nice terrace area that overlooks the swimming pool, as I said, out of the Lido Lounge. The pool itself is big, I think, for a ship this sort of size, and there is lots and lots of space both down there for sun lounges and actually on the 2 decks above me where I'm stood. I'm really liking this area on board, probably my favourite part of the ship. This is the marquee bar and its outside terrace area. Lovely modern furnishings, and on a sunny day, probably just one of the best spots on the ship for your cruise. Now, the regular Fred Olsen cruiser will know that every single ship has a morning light lounge. This is the one on board Boudicca. It's much smaller than on Balmoral, obviously because of the size of the ship, but it's still a nice little area. Okay, we've reached one of the most important areas on the ship for most passengers, and that's the dining. And the dining options on board are quite important actually. You've got 3 set dining areas. You've got the Tintagel, the Heligan, and where I am now, the Four Seasons. And you actually select in advance one of these 3 restaurants, and they are actually all slightly different, so that's one important consideration when you're booking your cruises, which one you settle for. And also the dining, there's an early dining and a late dining, and again that's picked in advance. So this is the Four Seasons restaurant. You've got an orange and beige colour scheme in this particular restaurant, and it's just about the largest one of the 3 options. For those of you wanting the purple look, then it's definitely the Tintagel for you. This is the Tintagel restaurant, similar sort of size to the Four Seasons, just slightly smaller. And here we are, the third of your dining options. This is the Heligan restaurant. the smallest and probably the most intimate of the three on board, and if I'm perfectly honest, this is probably my favourite. I think the furnishings are nice and just got a lovely feel to it. For those of you wanting an informal dining option on board, this restaurant's for you. This is the Secret Garden, free seating all evening, buffet service, so nice and informal and relaxing. Starting here at a penthouse cabin on board Boudicca. Initial impression when walking in, it's a big cabin, particularly the lovely dressing area next to the bed, but the cabin overall has a spacious feel, and not often I get excited about bathrooms on these smaller ships, but the bathroom in this penthouse is lovely. Large in size and nicely equipped. We're here now seeing a balcony cabin on board Boudicca. Smallish cabin, to be honest. Nice, furnished well, and a particularly nice balcony, but on the small side for a balcony cabin. So earlier on when we were doing the cabins, I talked about the balcony cabin and said I was somewhat disappointed with the size of it. Well, actually this is a balcony mini suite, and I definitely recommend, if you're looking at your budget, can you afford just that bit more money to have this fantastic extra space in this great cabin. Well, this is a wow. I'm on Fred Olsen and I'm seeing bright blue, even turquoise furniture. Something very different, and this is part of a new refurbishment program on board Fred's. This particular cabin we're in at the moment is a terrace balcony. What they've basically done is taken part of the deck on board, eaten away slightly for it to create a terrace, and a private terrace just outside your cabin here. As you can see, completely refitted, very modern, contemporary look in this terrace balcony. So here we've got a standard outside cabin on board Boudicca. Not really much I can say. Relatively small but perfectly functional and clean, and just what you'd expect. Here we've got an outside porthole cabin. Only comment I'd make on this one, identical cabin to the outside picture window cabin. Is it worth the extra money to have the picture window? In my opinion, probably not. For those on a budget, here's the inside cabin on board Boudicca. Bed setup here is in an L shape, and it's predominantly like that on board all of the inside cabins. Well, there we are. That's our little tour around Fred Olsen's Boudicca. What's the summary then? I think, to be honest, I like the ship. It's a small ship, it's an intimate ship, but actually what it's got is a lot of new things that are happening, and are happening actually on board quite a lot of the Fred Olsen fleet. So things like those terrace balconies were probably the highlight for me. You can see a modernisation. You know, when you go for some of the lower grade cabins, the insides, the soft furnishings, they're okay. Don't expect luxury, you won't get it. But actually, with the refurbishment program, you're probably going to get the best of both worlds on board a ship like this. Restaurants, probably important to pick the one that you like in advance on your dining time, so make sure when you book with us you request that sort of thing, and if you want advice we can also help you with that. So overall, what was my feeling? I'd say it's another thumbs up for Fred Olsen's Boudicca.